Bevi's mission is to reinvent the existing wasteful beverage supply chain. How do we do this? By providing customers healthy drinks sourced from the tap, customized by the user. Our internet-connected machine will notify you whenever anything is running low. Basically, it's the smart water cooler customers will never have to worry about. Hero and I hope these instructional videos help you install a countertop Bevi. The Bevi countertop is a sleek, compact unit for space-challenged layouts. It converts your countertop into a smart water cooler. The Bevi countertop has all the same major components as a stand-up unit, including the console with the touchscreen, the chiller carbonator, filter, and 4 flavors. Okay, and so now we're going to go over the requirements that you'll have to set up ahead of time before starting the Bevi countertop installation. The first thing that you'll need to set up is a water line. Typically, we'll need a 3/8" dedicated polyethylene water line, like this. You can also use a flexible copper line. The main requirement that we need here is we need a minimum of 50 psi. For space, we're using 2 under-the-counter cabinet spaces. The dimensions are 28 inches tall, 16 inches wide, and 22 inches deep. For this side, we're going to store our CO2 tanks, our flavors, and our filter. And on this side, we're going to have our carbonator, and on the top is where we're going to sit our console. We're going to drill a hole in the countertop, which is going to act to ventilate the air from the console, and also we're going to snake the flavor and the water lines from the console down to the carbonator. So you're going to need to drill a 4-inch hole into the countertop. You can actually use this template, which kind of lays out very nicely how you can do that. We're going to be drilling through wood today, and you can actually use just the standard 4-inch hole saw to do that. For other surfaces, you'll have to hire a general contractor with more specialized tools. The countertop Bevi requires a minimum of 12.5 square inches of inlet ventilation. The standard installation will include 4 2-inch holes. In this case, we'll drill the 4 2-inch holes right at the toe kick. You can actually put ventilation on the door as well, or on the side panel. The Bevi countertop uses a standard 3-prong 120-volt outlet. The unit itself draws about 9 amps of power. The outlet itself can be inside the counter space, or you can actually use one that's right adjacent to the countertop. Like the stand-up unit, the Bevi countertop needs to be connected to the internet. You can connect to Wi-Fi, to Ethernet, or to an OptConnect, which is a cellular device. To learn more about how to install the Bevi, keep watching. Okay, so now we're going to go and show you how to install a Bevi countertop. If you run into problems at any point during this process, feel free to reach us at 866-704-2384. And now we're going to go through the tools that you're going to need in order to do the installation. You'll first need a corded drill. Along with that, you'll need a 4-inch hole saw, a 2-inch hole saw, a flathead screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, utility knife, set of pliers, tube cutters, an adjustable wrench, preferably 10 inches, extra tubing, and a pitcher. The Bevi countertop comes in 3 boxes. They're all labeled. Box 1 of 3 contains your console. Box 2 of 3 has your additional components. Box 3 of 3 has your chiller carbonator. Okay, so now we're going to unbox all 3 boxes. And now we're going to drill the hole. But first, always remember to wear safety glasses. We're going to use this template, and I positioned it pretty much right in the center of the counter. Like I said before, the requirements, the hole has to be 5 inches away from the back from the center of the hole. In this case, it's pretty much dead center. You can see exactly where the console is going to go. I'm just going to take this, tape it down real quick, and then we're going to start to drill it. There you go. Easy as that. You'll want to make sure to clean off everything. Obviously, there's a lot of sawdust everywhere. Make sure to vacuum it up and clean inside your counter space as well. Okay, so now we're going to drill the intake ventilation holes into the toe kick area. So we're going to keep our corded drill. We're going to use a 2-inch hole saw to drill those 4 holes in. I've already marked the spots where we're going to drill, and I evenly spaced them throughout here, giving us enough space so that we can drill these 2-inch holes in. And we're going to start to drill our first hole. Okay, so again, created a bit of a mess with the sawdust here. Just make sure to clean it all up before you go on to the next step. Okay, so at this point, we've run our water line. This is a 3/8" polyethylene line. It's a dedicated line. And we've run it from the source through the cabinet. And from this point, we're gonna go and hook this up to the filter. Okay, so now we're gonna take our filter components. It's on the tray in the components box. Everything is labeled, so you can easily identify it. It says water filter components. We also have the flavor components. Leave that aside for now. Chiller carbonator components, again, leave it aside. And then CO2 components. Again, these are for later steps, you can just leave these. So this is the filter housing. It's a 3M filter. And we also have a water block attached to it. The water block will actually stop water after 3 gallons of continuous dispensing. The water comes in from the bottom of the water block and then out on this end right here. You'll need to mount this to the inside of the cabinet, and there are 3 slotted holes and 3 screws that you'll need to mount it. And we're gonna go ahead and mount it right now. Okay, so we've mounted on the filter housing. Now we are going to take our water line, insert it into the water block. We're going to take our filter cartridge and insert it into the housing. So first, Take the water line, insert it into the water block. We're going to take the filter cartridge and put it into the housing. It's just a quick quarter turn. Very simple. So we're going to drill one more hole. It's going to be a 2-inch hole. For this setup, it's going to be the last hole that we're going to drill. The purpose is going to be to put our water line from this cabinet to the next. Also, our CO2 line, our CO2 tank is going to sit here. It's going to go over to the chiller carbonator, and then also for our flavors. Okay, so now we're going to set up the chiller carbonator. First, you want to grab the components bag labeled chiller carbonator components and make sure that your chiller carbonator is unboxed. This is the same exact chiller carbonator that we use for the stand-up. It has not really changed much at all. There are 3 inputs down at the bottom right-hand corner here. You have your in water, which is at the bottom, in CO2, and then your ice bank fill. The bottom 2 are going to be constantly used. The top one we use only for installation. On the side, you have your power in, your power switch, and it'll turn green as soon as the power is on. And there's a red indicator light, which will indicate whenever the pump has reset. On the top, you have 2 main outputs. Both are labeled. One is your out soda. The other is your out water. There's also an out ambient line, which we don't ever use, and it's capped. Make sure that it just stays capped. Lastly, we have the recirculating line. At a later step, we're actually going to disconnect this elbow here and connect it to a line that goes up to the console. And from the front side, this is actually going to be facing towards you when you put it inside the cabinet. The thermostat is located right here. It should be factory set to 6. You really don't want to change that. And the overflow tube is situated right here. As soon as you fill the ice bank, it's going to start to trickle down. You'll immediately want to cut the water at that point. Now we're going to show how to set this up to the tray and the leak detector. So this is the tray that the chiller carbonator sits on. The purpose of this is to collect any water during a leak. There's a leak detector that's right here. It's actually situated towards the back of the cabinet. There's a puck that is inside here. It's a cloth puck. So if there's any moisture or water that hits that puck, it actually engages the spring and will shut the water off immediately. Okay, so the first step is we're going to take our water in line and we're going to connect it to the leak detector on the side here. So your water in line actually has this pressure reducer, and there is an arrow. You want to make sure to follow the arrow the correct way. So it will be leading into the water detector, the leak detector. You just plug that in the side here, like so. Make sure it's fully engaged. The next step is we're going to have to connect the water line from the top of the leak detector. Push it fully in. And then go into our in water fitting right here. Our next step, our in CO2 line. And then the last step is our ice bank fill line. This one will have an elbow with a John Guest shutoff valve on the other end. One caution about the leak detector is that it's very sensitive. So you do not want to trip it by having any water touch it. If by chance you do that, there are extra pucks in this box here. You can simply undo this screw here and rotate it out, put the new puck in, and re-engage the spring. Now we're going to take the chiller carbonator, put it in the cabinet, and we're going to fill the ice bank. Okay, so we took our main water source, hooked it up to the ice bank fill line. The water is live. I just have it cut off. Now we're going to fill up the ice bank. So I'm going to open up this valve. It might take a couple minutes depending on the water pressure, but as soon as the ice bank has filled, you're going to notice the water starting to trickle down into this overflow tube. When that happens, immediately cut the water off. So I'm going to open up the valve right now. First thing you want to do is you want to look for any leaks. Make sure that nothing is leaking in the drip tray. And I don't see anything. You will start to hear the water starting to go into the ice bank. And again, this could take a couple minutes. Okay, so now we're going to set up the power strip. The power strip actually comes with a power strip mounting guide that comes in the installation guide. So you can kind of use this to guide where your holes are going to be. You can also use high bond double-sided tape as well. It's really your choice. In this case, we're just going to mount it really right here so we can have easy access to put the power for the chiller carbonator and anything else that we need to power for the Bevi system. Okay, so we just installed the power strip right here. And we have our power outlet for the chiller carbonator that we can plug into there. Next step is the power for the console. Power for the console is actually in the flavor components bag. So you want to open that. It's in the white box. And then there's also a black plug as well. So we're just going to take our console power, plug it into the power strip, like so, and just leave this here for now. It can sit right on top of the chiller carbonator. Okay, so this is the Bevi console. It has several lines that come out from underneath it, as you can see right here. This is the bottom. These are your 4 flavor lines. They're all clear. This is your power line. And then most importantly, this tubing here is for your out sparkling and out still line. Additionally, you have 2 connectors for the recirculating line that you'll have to connect with the carbonator. So first, we're going to take all these lines and we're going to snake them down the 4-inch hole. Once you have everything more or less situated, then you can take your console and set it upright over the hole. Make sure to center the bottom piece right here directly over your 4-inch hole. And now we're going to go and we're going to connect all these lines together and get this all set up. Okay, so I just actually snaked the flavor lines through, and I connected the power for the console. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this elbow off of the recirculating line on the chiller carbonator. So we'll take this off. So you have these two lines, and then you're going to connect them in these union fittings right here, and it doesn't matter which goes in which. Make sure that they're really tight, otherwise they may leak. Then you take the other one, do the same thing, make sure they're really tight. And so now your recirculating lines are forming a complete cycle, so should be good on that. So the last step in finishing the chiller carbonator setup, we're going to connect the sparkling water line and the still water line. So these two fittings were included in the kit. This is for your sparkling water line. This is for the still water line. We'll start with the sparkling water line. So you'll take the out soda, which is on the chiller carbonator, label as such, and then you want to take this white regulator, just snap it into place, match it with the sparkling out, and then you'll want to take the John Guest fitting, put on the still water line, and then just connect it with the out water line. And then you're done. So now we're going to install the CO2 tank. In order to do that, we really have to fasten it down with a bracket. And it comes with a bracket right here, as well as a nylon strap. So we're going to just fixate the bracket right where the CO2 tank is going to go. And we're going to fixate it right about here, and then the other one on the other side. Okay, so now we're going to take the flavor lines and connect them to the connectors. These lines actually come pretty long. You can actually shorten them to whatever length that fits the setup that you're operating in. We're going to take these lines, they are all labeled, so flavors 1 through 4, and they're labeled on the connector side as well. So it's pretty easy to identify which one goes to what, and essentially just snap them in. So flavor 4 goes right to flavor 4. Flavor 1 to flavor 1. Flavor 2 to flavor 2. And flavor 3 to flavor 3. And then we're going to take these connectors and hook them up to the flavor boxes, exactly how we do in the stand-up unit. Okay, so I took all 4 boxes and opened them up, stacked them inside, and take the connectors and connect them to the boxes. So we're going to stack them exactly how we do it on the stand-up unit, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is flavor 1. Just going to take the connector, attach it to the spout, and 2 clicks in. 1, 2. And take the box, just make sure it's stacked, and then continue with the rest of the 3 boxes. And now we're going to set up the CO2 tank. So now we're going to take the CO2 tank regulator and we're going to put it onto the CO2 tank. We're going to set it and we're going to put it inside the cabinet. So you'll want to take the CO2 components bag. It's going to have the regulator in it. Take the regulator out. And also remember to get the nylon washer. It's very important. It actually creates a seal so that you can stop leaks from happening. Put it inside the nut. And screw it on. Just hand tighten it. Take the wrench. Tighten it. You'll want to take the valve, this black valve on the bottom, and make sure that it is turned upwards. That means that the gas won't leak out. You can actually set the correct pressure that way. So once that is up, you can actually turn the tank knob on. The regulator is factory set to 60 psi. We actually want to increase that to 85 psi. This is really important. So you take a flathead screwdriver, turn it clockwise, make sure it's set to 85 psi or 6 bar. Tighten this nut right there. Turn the tank off again. And then we're ready to take the tank and put it inside the cabinet. So you strap it in. Take your CO2 line. Plug it into the bottom of the regulator. And you're good to go. So now that we've finished the installation for under the cabinet, we need to turn the water on, turn the CO2 tank on, and then turn the power on to the console. And now we're going to program the Bevi. Now that we're all set up, the Bevi screen will turn on and you'll need to program the console. To do that, click on Ingredients, located in the bottom left-hand corner. Click on any one of the mystery flavors. Press and hold in the X in the upper right-hand corner for 5 seconds. This will bring you to the servicing panel. The first thing that you'll want to do is connect it to the internet. If it's not connected, it'll be displayed in red. You'll want to hit Start Service, Log New Service, and then Reconnect. You have 3 options: connect wirelessly, connect via Ethernet, or connect via OptConnect. For this demonstration, we're going to connect via wirelessly. And you'll just pick from the drop-down. It's actually displaying sideways, but you can still read it. And you'll enter in the Wi-Fi password. Once you enter it in, press the connect button, and it will say connected. Click back to app, After you hit back to app, it'll bring you back to the servicing panel. If you look under internet, it says type connected. Now we can start to program our flavors. Programming flavors is very simple. Basically, you're just going to change from mystery flavor to whatever flavor number is on the box. You'll hit restock for flavor 1 and just enter in the flavor number for that box number. So we have a variety of 14 different flavors that you can choose from, mostly unsweetened, all healthy options. Next, you'll want to select your CO2 tank. So you hit restock. You can choose between a 5 or a 10-pound tank. In this case, we put a 10-pound tank in. Just select 10-pound tank. Filter, hit restock. In this case, we put a 3M filter. Select 3M filter there. You can choose a custom threshold. In this case, we're just going to keep the normal threshold. But if you wanted to, you could put a lower threshold if you know that you're in an area where you're going to get a lower lifetime out of that filter. All right, so now we're ready to prime the lines. To do that, you'll just want to have a pitcher ready, put it under the refill station, and press and hold onto the prime button. There's going to be a counter for 15 seconds. Just press and hold for the entire 15 seconds. Then just continue on for the other 3 flavors as well. After that, you can actually register this unit as well. Just click on the pencil in the upper middle portion here, and you can fill out the company name, the address, the zip code, contact person, email address, state, any other pertinent information. That'll all get tied to our dashboard so you can actually have that information readily available so you can monitor all the usage and you can tell exactly when something's going to run out. So under the Advanced tab, you'll want to record the touchscreen ID. That will be used to register the unit on your dashboard. It's very important. The other thing that you can do is start the incubation period. That will trigger a timer which won't let any users use the Bevi for about 2 to 3 hours, and it'll let it fully cool down so that they can get a really great experience. So just click on the Start Incubation countdown. Counts down from 3 hours. If you actually need to exit out of this, little secret, just tap in between the numbers right here, and it'll bring you back to the normal screen. There's a help section here. It lists our phone number, email address. If you run into any problems at any point, please just reach out to us. We're happy to help you. Next, you just want to do a taste test. Make sure that everything is dispensing correctly and it tastes good. You can test all 4 flavors. Also make sure that it's flowing out correctly, and you can kind of just taste it individually. It's not going to be cold yet. It takes about 2 hours to really chill down perfectly. But just keep in mind, it could take a little while to do that. Next thing that we want to do is you want to purge the CO2 tank. You'll need a large cylinder like this, and basically just start dispensing the sparkling water. You'll notice it does come out pretty cloudy at first. That's to be expected. The reason is that it's not really mixing properly. The fix is really to dispense about 2 to 3 liters of sparkling water. Once you do that, it should start to really sparkle, and you should kind of taste much more of a bite in the sparkling water at that point. So now you can see in the water there's a lot more bubbles. It's definitely a lot stronger than it was. It still needs to cool off in order to really be very crisp, but in a couple of hours this should be nice and sparkly. All right, so we're ready to dispense our first drink. Everything's been cooling down, fully incubated for 3 hours. So here we go. Tastes great. Thanks for watching. I really hope this was informative. Happy hydrating.